Do you ever feel like no matter how hard you work, your money just doesn't stretch the way it used to? Groceries cost more, rent keeps climbing, and even a simple dinner out feels like a luxury. It's exhausting. But here's the thing. There are places in the world where Americans are living better lives on half the money. I'm talking real homes, good food, and the kind of peace and freedom that is getting harder to find here at home. These are places where a growing number of Americans have quietly figured out how to work less, live more, and spend less doing it. Of course, it's not all perfect. Different languages, unfamiliar rules, and slower systems are not for everyone, but you trade some comforts for freedom and a life that actually feels like yours. Stick around, because by the end of this list, you might start wondering if you've been living in the wrong country all along. And if that sounds like the kind of life you've been dreaming about, hit subscribe, because we've got plenty more honest insights like this. 10. Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a country that feels like it was designed for people who dream of tropical sunsets and slow mornings. But living here, of course, isn't a flawless paradise. Overall, Costa Rica is about 40 to 45% cheaper than the US, and rent comes in around 50% cheaper, which is decent if you're looking for an apartment or a cozy home. For a single person, your monthly costs hover between $900 and $1,200, which isn't exactly pocket change, but considering the scenery, it's a fair trade-off. The advantages are huge. Their rainforest hikes, beautiful beaches, and the infamous Pura Vida lifestyle that encourages slowing down and enjoying life. But as with most places, there are trade-offs. Imported goods like electronics and cars are expensive. Weather is mostly warm, but rainy seasons can be intense, especially on the Pacific side. Costa Rica is also famous for its wildlife, which sounds exciting until a monkey or iguana decides your balcony is its new home. The good news: even with these downsides, Costa Rica still offers a mix of comfort, adventure, and natural beauty for less than half the US cost of living. If Costa Rica sounds intriguing, keep watching, because our next stop is even cheaper. 9. Mexico. Number 9 is Mexico, a country that somehow manages to feel like both a vacation and a place you could call home. Overall, it's 50 to 55% cheaper than the US, and rent is around 65% cheaper, which makes living in cities like Guadalajara, Mérida, or even Playa del Carmen surprisingly doable. For a single person, monthly costs range from $700 to $950, which can cover a nice apartment and groceries. Mexico is vibrant. The food is phenomenal, street tacos for a couple of bucks and markets overflowing with fresh produce, and a strong sense of community make daily life feel rich without spending much. But it's not perfect. Crime varies widely by area, and bureaucracy can be a headache for paperwork like visas or residency. Healthcare is good in urban centers but can be limited in smaller towns, and rainy seasons can flood streets or cause delays. Yet for many, these issues are minor compared to the lifestyle upgrade you get for half the price. Affordable, lively, and full of culture, Mexico lets you live big without breaking the bank. And if this sounds good, just wait until our next country. 8. Malaysia. At number 8, we have Malaysia, a country that many people overlook but shouldn't. Overall living costs are 50 to 55% cheaper than the US, and rent is about 65% cheaper, which means you can enjoy a modern apartment with a pool or gym for a fraction of what you'd pay in the States. Monthly costs for a single person range between $650 and $900, which is impressively reasonable considering the level of comfort you get. Street food can feel like gourmet meals for a few dollars, and weekends could mean exploring tropical islands or hiking in rainforests. But like any country, there are downsides. Humidity is relentless, and traffic in cities like Kuala Lumpur can be maddening. Some Americans also find cultural adaptation takes time, especially in smaller towns. Still, Malaysia is a strong contender for affordable, comfortable living. Safe, modern, and full of culinary adventures, it's easy to see why people fall in love here. And if Malaysia sounds tempting, just wait until number 7. 7. Thailand. Number 7 is Thailand, a country that feels like a constant adventure without draining your wallet. Overall, Thailand is 55 to 60% cheaper than the US, and rent is about 70% cheaper. Monthly expenses for a single person sit around $600 to $800, which is shockingly reasonable for the lifestyle you can have. Thailand is a feast for the senses. Golden temples, buzzing night markets, and street food that's often better than any restaurant you've been to back home. But it's not all perfect. Tourist areas can be crowded and sometimes overpriced compared to local towns, and dealing with visas or paperwork can be frustrating. Weather is tropical, so prepare for heavy rains during monsoon season, and imported goods can be pricey. Even with the downsides, Thailand offers an incredible mix of affordability and quality of life. Northern Thailand, especially around Chiang Mai, offers mountains, coffee plantations, and a slower pace, while the south offers beautiful beaches. If Thailand has your imagination running wild, just wait for the next country. Number 6 might shock you with its affordability and mix of modern life with natural beauty. Leave a comment down below if you've ever tried Thai street food that completely blew your mind. 6. Colombia. Landing at number 6, Colombia is a country that has undergone a serious transformation in the past decade. Living costs are 55 to 60% cheaper than the US, and rent is about 70% cheaper. Monthly costs for a single person range from $600 to $850, covering groceries, rent, transport, and even some weekend adventures. Colombia is vibrant, colorful, and packed with energy. From salsa dancing in Cali to hiking in the Andes, there's a richness to life that feels priceless. But not everything is perfect. Safety can vary depending on where you live, and pickpocketing in tourist zones is common. Weather shifts dramatically with altitude, which might surprise newcomers. Still, Colombia is a place where affordable living doesn't feel like a compromise. Modern apartments, lively urban centers, incredible food, and access to nature make it a country that's both cheap and high quality. If Colombia surprises you with how much value it offers, just wait, because the next country on this list will completely redefine what affordable adventure can look like. 5. Philippines. The next country on our list are the Philippines, a tropical paradise that's both wallet-friendly and endlessly entertaining. Overall, living costs are about 60% cheaper than the US, and rent is roughly 75% cheaper. Monthly expenses for a single person range between $550 and $750, which covers groceries, utilities, transport, and plenty of fun activities. The Philippines is famous for its beaches, islands, and friendly locals. Imagine hopping between islands, snorkeling in crystal-clear waters, and enjoying fresh seafood almost daily. But you have to know that infrastructure can be inconsistent. Traffic is a nightmare in major cities like Manila, and natural disasters like typhoons occasionally disrupt life. Also, internet can be slow or patchy outside urban areas, which can be frustrating if you work remotely. Still, the benefits outweigh the drawbacks for most people. Affordable living, warm weather year-round, vibrant culture, and natural beauty make it a dream for Americans and travelers. And don't forget, if you're enjoying this list, hit that subscribe button now, because the next countries are going to be even more surprising. 4. Ecuador. Ecuador is a country that's often overlooked but deserves serious attention if you're thinking about affordable travel or living abroad. Living costs are around 60 to 65% cheaper than the US, and rent comes in at roughly 75% cheaper. For a single person, monthly expenses typically range between $650 and $900, which is enough for groceries, transport, and dining out. Ecuador has a lot going for it. The country packs incredible diversity into a relatively small area, from the towering Andes to lush Amazon rainforest and pristine Pacific beaches, all accessible without long flights. Of course, it's not all perfect. Public healthcare outside big cities can be inconsistent, and road conditions in rural areas can be rough. Certain regions have higher crime rates, so being cautious is important. Additionally, while basic goods are cheap, imported items like electronics or luxury products can be surprisingly pricey. Despite these downsides, Ecuador offers a rare combination of affordability, natural beauty, and cultural richness. Comment below if Ecuador made it to your bucket list. 3. Georgia. Number 3 is Georgia, not the US state, but the country at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. Overall, living costs are about 60% to 65% cheaper, and rent is roughly 70% cheaper than the US. For a single person, monthly expenses range from $600 to $800, giving you plenty of breathing room for food, transport, and weekend trips. Georgia is full of surprises. Tbilisi is vibrant, with cobblestone streets, colorful buildings, and a cafe culture that feels both modern and historic. Beyond the cities, the mountains, vineyards, and medieval churches offer endless adventures, hiking, skiing, or exploring wine regions that are literally centuries old. And yes, wine lovers will be thrilled. Georgia is considered the birthplace of wine, and enjoying a local bottle won't break the bank. That said, it's not all perfect. Salaries are relatively low, so making a living locally can be a challenge if you're not working remotely. English isn't widely spoken outside big cities, so bureaucracy and paperwork can be tricky. Still, the pros often outweigh the cons. If Georgia piques your curiosity, get ready for our next country. To Vietnam, a country that's become a favorite among digital nomads and budget travelers alike. Living costs are about 60 to 65% cheaper than the US, and rent is roughly 75% cheaper, which means you can live comfortably in a modern apartment in Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi. Monthly expenses for a single person range between $550 and $750, giving you room for local cuisine, coffee, and even weekend trips to beaches or mountains. Vietnam is a sensory overload in a good way. Street food markets, motorbike-filled streets, and stunning landscapes make it feel alive around the clock. But of course there is challenges. Traffic can be chaotic, especially with motorbikes zipping everywhere, and English is less common outside the main cities, which can make bureaucracy frustrating. The healthcare system is decent but not up to Western standards in smaller towns. Despite that, Vietnam offers a balance of affordability, culture, and opportunity that is hard to beat. For anyone looking to stretch their budget while living in a vibrant and exciting environment, Vietnam checks all the boxes. And if Vietnam surprises you with how much life you can afford for less, just wait. Our next destination brings an entirely new flavor. 1. Argentina. Argentina, a country known for tango, steaks, and surprisingly low costs of living. Overall, it's about 65 to 70% cheaper than the US, and rent is roughly 80% cheaper. Monthly expenses for a single person fall around $500 to $700, which is incredibly affordable for urban life. Argentina is very lively, with thriving art scenes, world-class food, and stunning natural landscapes from Patagonia to Iguazu Falls. But life here has challenges. Inflation is high and unpredictable, which can make long-term budgeting tricky. Political and economic instability sometimes affects daily life, and public transport outside major cities is limited. Still, for the adventurous, Argentina offers unbeatable value. Delicious cuisine, lively culture, and affordable living make it a strong contender for anyone wanting a high-quality lifestyle at a fraction of US costs.